What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards again. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. I am actually putting out 2 videos this week. So I work in a job where I get to help people with their finances. So I realize how much the inflation and the economy impacts all aspects of our lives, including our ability to play games that we love. So today, I am going to share my top 5 free RPGs. Now, I know the saying goes that you get what you paid for. That's not always the case, especially with these games I'm going to talk about. As a matter of fact, I've actually paid for all of these games. I bought the deluxe versions of them, not because there was anything in the deluxe that I needed versus the free. I bought them because I appreciated what the authors did, and I appreciated that the authors provided a free version of these games. So these are all top tier titles. These are games that I've played. These are games that have a great amount of replayability. They've got depth, and they are complete games. You don't need anything else to play with them other than some dice, some friends, and some time. So without further ado, these are my top 5 free RPGs. Enjoy.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
What's up? So coming in at number 5, we have Mutant Future. This is a game by Goblinoid Games that is based upon their Labyrinth Lord series. So this is kind of a mishmash of old school Gamma World combined with BXD&D. So you can play a mutant apocalypse style game with no money investment at all. As long as you have a device that can read this PDF, which if you're watching my video, you probably do, you're able to play this game. So Mutant Future, if you are familiar with Gamma World, a lot of this is going to be very familiar with you, but you've got your different character races. Those really kind of take they take the place of the classes in a traditional D&D game. So you can be an android, you can be a mutant animal, you can be a mutant human, a mutant plant, or a pure strain human. One of the interesting differences in this game that is a callback to the old school Gamma World game is that you start with a ton of hit points, but you don't gain more as you gain experience. So your characters actually get a number of dice based on their constitution score, not modifier. So you might have 15 or 16 or even 18 D6s or D8s, depending on what type of character you play, worth of hit points right off the bat. So the game is very interesting. It's got all the mutations and things that you would want from a post-apocalyptic game. It's got the monsters in here. It's got all the rules for combat. Everything is here. The folks at Goblinoid Games didn't leave anything out except for the art, and that is one thing that you'll find as a common theme in these free RPGs is that it's the full version of the game, but it usually lacks the art because the artists they have to pay those artists to provide that work, and so they don't want to give that away for free, and that's fair. But the entire game is here. You could, even if you decided like that it was worth the money to buy a copy, it's also nice that you can just have your players pick up this free PDF, and then they have all the rules so they can enjoy the game to its fullest. And so that is Mutant Future by Goblinoid Games, and that is my number 5 free RPG.
Money isn't everything, Mortimer.
Oh, grow up.
Mother always said you were greedy.
She meant it as a compliment.
All right, and coming in at number 4, I'm already cheating because you know how I do on my list. I like to break my own rules right off the bat, and this is Labyrinth Lord. So Labyrinth Lord is BXD&D. It was my preferred way to play BXD&D up until Old School Essentials came out. But that being said, it's still a great emulator of the game. There are a few differences. One of the most notable ones, I believe, clerics in this version get spells at level 1, but and also I think there is a little bit of difference. Yeah, clerics here get spells at level 1, which was not true in BXD&D. Um, Also, there's some differences in the experience tables. They're not exact experience amounts as they were in BX, but that's okay. Still a great way to play. There is no imbalance issues with using this with old school stuff that was made by TSR, and it is a complete game as well. You've got levels 1 through 20 here. You've got all the monsters. You've got all the treasures. You've got everything to run a campaign. The only thing you don't get, again, is the art, for the same reason you don't get the art in Mutant Future. So this is Labyrinth Lord, but I said I was going to be cheating on this entry, and that's because I am also going to include Labyrinth Lord Advanced Edition Companion in this number 4. It is also by Goblinoid Games, and it adds the classes that were found in the Advanced Edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and it also adds some additional races that were found in Dungeons and Dragons and some optional rules. This is also free, again, without the artwork. But if you want a little bit more options and complexity to your game, but you want to keep that BX shell and you want to play with some of the old school resources that are available, this is going to be a great option. Again, up until Old School Essentials came out, this was my BX clone of choice. However, I do think it is still a great way to play BX Dungeons and Dragons, and this is Labyrinth Lord. Sorry about the quick scrolling, but hopefully you got enough to see that this is worth the cost, which is free.
I just work for Vicina to pay the bills. It's not a lot of money in revenge.
All right, so this is going to be my number 3 entry into my top free RPGs. This is Lamentations of the Flame Princess. This is a weird version of BX RPG. So, what makes this different? Well, Lamentations of the Flame Princess weakens some of the classes. None of the classes except for Fighter actually ever get their to hit bonus increased. So basically a level 1 and a level 10 dwarf are going to hit at the same rate. There are some quirks to the backstories on the races. Also, magic works very differently than it does in a traditional BX game. If you look at the spells in Lamentations of the Flame Princess, you are not going to find Magic Missile or Fireball there. You are going to find lots and lots of dark and ominous spells that have potentially really bad side effects. This game definitely puts the weird into weird fantasy role-playing. Another thing about this particular no art version that is available for free, this might be better for a lot of the families that play games, because the actual full art version, which is the purchasable, has some stuff that is a little bit cringe-inducing. Definitely not for young eyes, but it is a very cool game. It's got kind of a Renaissance time period, maybe even Victorian feel. Got some definite vibes that it is not your traditional medieval style of game. The monsters in it are definitely going to be evoking some Lovecraftian vibes. The layout is really great. You get some awesome tables. They actually they replaced the thief with a specialist in this game, and the specialist actually, I like how their skills are far better than the BX thief. Let me see if I can find the specialist for us. Let's see. The other nice thing about this versus some of the other free options, this one actually does have bookmarks that are clickable. So I can just go right here to the specialist, And as you can see from this screenshot, these are the different skills that the specialist, used to be thief, can have in the game. They get so many points that they can allocate each level. For example, they get 4 skill points at first level. They can choose to put them all in one thing and be really good at that one thing right off the bat, or spread them out around a little bit. Particularly the sneak attack is interesting because each point you put into that is a multiplier of how much damage you will do. That's kind of interesting. But anyways, the skills in here, they are much more effective and really flexible than those found in a traditional D&D BX Thief. And the game itself is a great take on BX D&D with enough of a twist to give this its own spot on my shelf. As I said in the beginning, I've bought all of these, particularly the at sea rules for Lamentations of the Flame Princess are really nice, and they've got some interesting stuff about the retainers that you can hire. So yeah, this is definitely going to be one that's worth taking a look at. Again, if you do have young eyes that play games with you, might want to just get this version and not the full art version. I do own the full art version, but that the art is where it's really good, it's great, but then where it's kind of cringy, it's not a bonus for me. It's actually a detractor, but still a great book, great game, and glad it's available. And that is why it is at my number 3 favorite free RPG.
I'm going to teach you to hate spending money. I'm going to make you so sick of spending money that the mere sight of it will make you want to throw up.
All right, so if you have been watching my videos over the last couple weeks, you know that I am a big fan of Kevin Crawford. So Kevin Crawford of Sine Nomine Publishing, he creates lots of great games, and he tends to put out free versions of each of them. So this is Stars Without Number, and this tackles the sci-fi genre, and you can do pretty much any type of sci-fi you want. You could do Star Trek, Star Wars, you could do Thundar the Barbarian. There really are not many limits on what you can do with this. So one of the great things about this particular game is that it does actually have the art in the free version. So the only thing that's missing are a few pages at the end of the book. But this is not a partial game. This is a full game. The stuff at the end is like rules for mechs and things like that. But you're not missing any of the crunch. You've got what you need right here. Another nice thing about this game is it has a working psionics system. It is not like the old school TSR D&D where the psionics system was awful. So on top of that, they've got a really nice 3-class system. You have warriors, experts, and psychics, and then you can multi-class by taking the designation of adventurer. The game itself is based on a combination of BX D&D, OD&D, and Traveler's skill system, and when it comes together, it really creates something very unique. But the best part about this game are the GM tools, particularly the rules on, or the tools for creating sectors and worlds and factions and enemies and NPCs. There are so many of these great tables, and I had a blast this weekend. I ran this game for one of my groups, and I actually did a modified version of Into the Borderlands, and I'm calling it Resort on the Borderlands. It kind of combined the concept of Westworld with some of the abandoned worlds that you find in the Stars Without Number fiction. And so anyways, it was a great time. The game played fast and fun. The players really enjoyed the system, and they thought that the customization of the characters was top tier. So this is one that you need to check out. You probably should go ahead and buy the $20 version to help Kevin out. But if you don't, you've got everything you need right here with the free edition. So this is Stars Without Number, and it is my number 2 top free RPG.
There you go. That's 122.50.
Oh, it's my brother's house. He'll take care of it.
Frank, you got some money, don't you? Come on.
Traveler's check.
All right, and here is my number one. If you watched the video that I did just a couple of days ago, you will not be surprised here. This is Worlds Without Number, and this game is fantastic. So it takes kind of the basic shell that Kevin Crawford from Sine Nomine Publishing created for Stars Without Number, and it does the fantasy take on that. But I also think he's refined several of his GM tools here. I found that, in particular, the tables for contextualizing your enemies and your monsters, I found those to be incredibly useful. I didn't find something that was quite the same in Stars Without Number. I could have missed it, but I did not see it. It also includes a great campaign setting all of its own called the Latter Earth, which is definitely a high fantasy campaign, but it is set on the Earth in the far future. So kind of a Thundar the Barbarian vibe there. But you get everything that you need here. The creature section in this is particularly good. Matter of fact, I actually printed off one of these pages coming up here. Yep, this one here. For my Stars Without Number game the other day, and used this just as a quick reference to create enemies on the fly, reskin them as whatever I needed them to be. But you have enough options here on this one page that you will not run out of opportunities to make your players have a really bad day. So the game itself, it is very, very much like Stars Without Number. The classes are very similar. The wizards, the different types of magic users, are very, very cool. And I kind of dig the way that they used the magic class to embody some different things whenever you get into like the monks and things like that are in the deluxe version. That's pretty much what you miss out on with this one, is you don't get some of the quirky classes that are not typical to fantasy. But you get all the basics. You get the spell system. You get these great GM tools here. And you get all of the different equipment and the domain rules. You've got some great domain play here in this system, and everything that you need is right in this free package. And here is some of the domain stuff that you can build, and rules for taxing your citizens and things of that nature. Since this game only goes to 10th level, domain play is really kind of the substitute for high level play, and I think that's a great way to do it, because really you get into those 11 through 20 levels, you're kind of becoming deity beaters, and that's not nearly as fun to DM. And honestly, I don't think the players that I've had have enjoyed it as much as either. So anyways, this was my number one free RPG. This is Worlds Without Number by Kevin Crawford of Sine Nomine Press. Again, this, like the Stars Without Number book, still has all of the art in it. Just miss a couple extra character classes and things. But another one that I would be remiss not to mention is the upcoming Cities Without Number. I believe Kevin is going to be placing that as a free version on DriveThruRPG as well. But you can actually still get in on that Kickstarter right now until the end of February, if I'm not mistaken. So again, I don't get paid for this. I just really like his stuff. So if you get a chance, head on over to Kickstarter and kickstart Cities Without Number by Kevin Crawford of Sine Nomine Publishing. And until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.